Giant robots are, on paper, the single worst idea in science fiction. Weightless, top-heavy, completely pointless. And yet, Pacific Rim took the genre's dumbest idea and made 200 million people believe it. Then the sequel forgot every single trick. We'll get to that. So what actually breaks a giant robot? 3 problems. Physics says no, power says no, and nobody can tell you what the thing is for. Pacific Rim solved all 3. The good one, I mean. As far as this channel is concerned, there is only one. It opens in the middle of the Pacific. Night. Storm. The camera stays low, right where a human would stand. And the sound design is, actually, just listen. That is 2,000 tons arriving. Your body believes it before your brain gets a vote. Time for a proper autopsy. First, the crime scene. Why do giant robots usually fail on screen? Exhibit. Any Transformers fight. 20 feet of alien supermetal, moving like it weighs nothing. Your brain files it under weightless in about 4 seconds. It looks expensive. It feels like nothing. 2 angry bar brawlers rendered for $400 million. And here's the cruel part. The cars they used to be had more presence than the robots they became. Watch Optimus Prime sprint, leap, spin mid-air, land on his feet. This thing weighs 8 tons, right? Right? The movie keeps going, and we just accept it. For now. Now, Star Wars. The AT-AT Walker. Credit where it's due, this thing feels heavy, slow, deliberate. Honestly, one of the better weight performances in the genre. And then the rebels defeat this armored building with rope. Rope. Somebody in Imperial procurement approved a walking tank in a universe with hover technology whose entire counter is a knot. That's not a design flaw. That is a career-ending audit finding. So, the genre's 2 failure modes. Robots that move wrong, and robots that exist for no reason. Weightless or pointless. Most mech movies manage both at once, and when the robot feels wrong, everything around it inflates. A weightless robot makes a weightless fight, a weightless city, a weightless world. The audience doesn't exactly notice, they just stop caring and start checking their phone. Pacific Rim knew this, which is why, for their first trick, they picked up a cargo ship and used it as a baseball bat. Now watch what the good one does. With 30 seconds, Gypsy Danger picks up a cargo ship and uses it as a baseball bat. But watch what the film is teaching you. The ship doesn't lift, it drags. It grinds a trench through the street. It crushes parked cars like soda cans. And when she finally swings, there's a wind-up you could measure with a calendar. Because 2,000 tons does not change direction just because you asked nicely. And after the impact, the arms keep traveling, follow through. Momentum that has to go somewhere. That's not a fight scene. That is a physics lecture, wearing a fight scene's clothes. Every single beat teaches your body what this thing weighs, and your body takes notes. Problem 1. Physics says no. Time for the segment the film school essays skip, the actual engineering. There is a law of nature designed specifically to kill giant robots. The square cube law. Scale anything up 10 times. Strength grows with cross-section, 100 times stronger. But weight grows with volume, 1,000 times heavier. Same machine, 10 times the scale, 10 times weaker. Pound for pound, every single time. It's why an ant carries 50 times its own body weight, and an elephant can break a leg, tripping. Nature already ran this experiment. Giants lose. So, do Gypsy Danger's numbers with me. 79 meters tall, 1,980 tons. Stand her on 1 foot, mid-stride. 2,000 tons. Through a footprint the size of a squash court. More ground pressure than any city street was ever designed to survive. And here's the part I love. The film knows. Watch the streets, craters, Jaeger-sized potholes. Someone in the art department actually did the math. Respect. Now the knees. Oh, the knees. This joint swings a 600-ton leg. The bending force would fold marine-grade steel like warm chocolate. The best steel humanity makes yields around 700 megapascals. A walking Jaeger knee needs multiples of that. Millions of Newton meters of torque. Every step, no cracking. There is no alloy on the periodic table that survives this job. So the film doesn't solve the knee, it dresses the knee. Pistons, vents, hydraulic lines. Your eye sees plumbing that looks load-bearing, and your brain signs off on the loan. And power. Walking is catastrophically inefficient. A machine this size needs gigawatts, on demand, a small country's grid, every single punch. Diesel can't. Batteries? Batteries laugh at you. Which is why the smartest engineering decision in this whole movie is sitting inside Gypsy's chest, glowing. Nobody talks about it. We will, in a minute. Because that's the trick. Pacific Rim never argues with the square cube law. It makes every impossible thing look solved by tired welders on a budget. Engineering theater, performed perfectly. Next question. Could you actually build one? For real? Oh, people have tried.
And the theater works because the props are real.
Humanity already builds machines at Jaeger scale. We just don't let them walk. This is Bagger 288, a German bucket wheel excavator, 96 meters tall. Taller than Gypsy Danger, 13,500 tons. Top speed, 10 meters per minute. In 2001, it had to move to a new mine, 22 kilometers away. The trip took 3 weeks and made international news. A machine so slow, its commute got press coverage. And this is NASA's crawler transporter, the thing that carries rockets to the launch pad. 2,700 tons, heavier than a Jaeger. Top speed, fully loaded, 1.6 kilometers per hour. And it burns a liter of diesel every 3.5 meters. These are the real numbers, real machines, at this mass. And notice what they all have in common. Nothing this size moves fast, ever, anywhere on Earth. So now you know why slow was the whole point. When Gypsy Danger trudges through the harbor like a glacier with anger issues, she's moving like Bagger 288, like the crawler, like every real machine in her weight class. Your brain has seen documentary footage of these things. The film is speaking a dialect of heavy machinery your subconscious already knows. That is why the walk works. Oh, and people have tried building real mechs. Japan built Kuratas, 4 tons, and it rides on wheels because legs were instantly hopeless. Just listen to Korea's method too. 4 meters tall, tethered to a power cable, and every single step shook the floor. 4 tons. That is our current ceiling. Gypsy is 500 times heavier. We are, conservatively speaking, several material science revolutions away. Which is exactly why the film's shipyard honesty matters. It's not showing you the future, it's showing you the present, scaled up with a straight face.
So, how do you scale up with a straight face?
Del Toro's team wrote 3 rules the genre had never enforced at once. Rule 1. Build it in a shipyard. Everything is welded, riveted, soot-stained. Built by people with union cards, not by Apple. Del Toro called it Gothic tech. Cherno Alpha is a Soviet boiler with fists. Gypsy's chest is a turbine from a decommissioned destroyer. And the names: Gypsy Danger, Cherno Alpha, Striker Eureka, Crimson Typhoon, stenciled on 1960s military hulls. Every Jaeger reads as a different country's engineering. The Russian one is brutalist. The Australian one is a shoulder-heavy athlete. The Chinese one has 3 arms for its 3 pilots. You can tell them apart in silhouette, in smoke, half underwater. Try that with any 2 Transformers. Rule 2. Mass is a character. Every swing gets a wind-up.
Every stop gets a settle. Pistons fire, plates shift, hydraulics vent, effort animated into every single step. And then the sound team buries you in low end. Footsteps like pile drivers, punches like buildings colliding. Here's the test. Mute a Pacific Rim fight. See? It falls apart. Half the mass of a Jaeger lives in a subwoofer. Sound isn't decorating this film. Sound is load-bearing. Rule 3. The camera is a person. It sits where a human being could actually stand. Street level, a rooftop, a helicopter. Looking up. It never becomes the floating drone eye of the modern blockbuster, because a camera that can go anywhere makes everything feel small. Locking the lens at human height is the cheapest special effect in the film, and it outworks the render farm. 3 rules. Industrial honesty, mass as character, a human camera. All 3 point at the same sentence. You are small, and this thing is not. Now, the thing in the chest. Problem number 2. Now, the promised chest cavity. Time to pay a debt. Problem number 2. Power says no. Gypsy danger is nuclear. The Mark III Jaegers run on an onboard reactor, and the film mentions it exactly twice, in passing, like it's a fuel type.
Better than you. She has a double-core nuclear reactor.
That's it. That's the first mention. Tossed away like a trim option on a car brochure. It is not a fuel type. It is the single most important engineering decision in the whole movie. Here's why. 1. It's the only honest answer to the power problem. Gigawatt spikes, no grid, no refueling in combat. A reactor is the one machine humanity actually owns that delivers all 3. The fiction is load-rated. 2. And this is the genius part. It's a plot device disguised as a spec sheet. Late in the film, the kaiju do something no monster has ever done. They deploy an EMP, a weapon aimed at our weapons. And every Jaeger in range goes dark. Every screen, every system, every single machine, except one.
Not all of them, Marshal.
Gypsy's analog, nuclear.
Analog. Older. Nuclear. No digital fly-by-wire to fry. The entire 3rd act exists because of an engineering trade-off the film planted in Act 1 like it was trivia. That is not technobabble. That is Chekhov's reactor. And 3, the quiet one. It costs something. The early pilots of the nuclear marks, Pentecost among them, flew with no radiation shielding.
Last thing we were thinking about was radiation shielding.
The film's coolest machine is slowly killing its own pilots. Real engineering has invoices, and Pacific Rim pays them on camera. That is exactly the kind of consequence the genre usually deletes in the second draft. Which brings us to the big one, the drift. 2 pilots, 1 neural handshake. Because, quote, 1 brain can't handle a Jaeger. Is that science? No, absolutely not. Nobody on Earth believes the drift, including the screenwriters. And here's the twist. It does not matter. The drift isn't engineering, it's emotional transmission. It turns the machine into a relationship. You cannot pilot a Jaeger with someone you don't trust with your worst memory. Read that again. Every kaiju fight is secretly a marriage counseling session with hydraulics. Think about the alternative. Pilot the robots remotely from a bunker in Nevada. Congratulations, you've made a drone warfare movie. Fine genre, different movie. The film needed humans inside the monster, so it invented a beautiful piece of nonsense to lock them inside. And then, this is the part I love, they built the cockpit for real. A full-size torture rig. Hydraulics, water dumping on the actors, take after take. The robot is CGI, the sweat is real. And your brain can tell the difference. It always can. Now, yes, the premise leaks if you stare at it. Nuke the breach? They did. Earlier, off-screen. Didn't work. Build a wall? They tried. A kaiju opened it like a cereal box. Could a determined Navy just solve this?
Probably. The movie knows. It hand waves. It grins. And it points at the giant robot. And honestly, respect. Confidence is a structural material. Next question. What happens when a sequel keeps the robots, but deletes all of this? A perfect control group.
And then the franchise ran the control experiment. For us.
Pacific Rim Uprising, 2018. Same Jaeger program, new designers, new philosophy. And it violates all 3 rules. In the first 10 minutes, the Jaegers go sleek. Tapered waists, visible kneecaps, sports car proportions on a machine the size of a building. And Saber Athena? Oh, the film says the quiet part out loud. In dialogue.
Saber Athena? I love Saber Athena. She's the fastest Jaeger in the fleet. Did you know that?
The fastest in the fleet. That sentence should trigger a fire alarm in any design meeting. They sprint. They pull anime poses. The camera floats up to robot eye level, like the film is embarrassed to be seen from the street. And the sound mix? It loses its bass and gains enthusiasm. Now, watch the 2 openings, back to back. Same tonnage on the spec sheet. One moves like a city block. The other moves like a Power Ranger, with a gym membership. Every rule the first film wrote, the second film breaks. And with the weight gone, the design stops mattering. The world stops mattering. Even the fights. It's the cleanest A/B test in blockbuster history. Same franchise, same robots, opposite physics. And everyone can feel which one is real. So you can identify a Pacific Rim fan with one question. Does a Jaeger walk or does it run?
Which leaves the last card. Problem 3. No reason to exist.
Still true. And the film never argues. Instead, one last detail. Proof that it was philosophy, not luck. They designed the monsters by the same rules. Every kaiju is a readable silhouette, built from real animals, sharks, gorillas, bats, the way Jaegers are built from real ships and real boilers, and both take damage like bodies. Plates shear off, fluid sprays, exactly like blood.
Left arm's gone cold, sir.
When Gypsy loses an arm, she finishes the fight with the one she's got. Machine and monster obey the same physics, the same language, the same honesty. That symmetry is why these fights feel like heavyweight boxing instead of a screensaver.
Elbow rocket!
Elbow rocket engaged.
Now!
So, giant robots are still the dumbest idea in science fiction. That's the point. Pacific Rim knew. So instead of arguing, it hired welders, borrowed a reactor, and slowed everything down to documentary speed. Then it lied to you with such craftsmanship.
Sword deployed.
That you stood up and cheered for 2,000 tons of steel learning to sword fight. And it worked. Engineering isn't what makes things possible. Sometimes it's what makes impossible things believable. That's the whole autopsy. The dumbest idea in fiction, built with enough honesty to walk. Somewhere out there is a spaceship that got the same treatment, and it deserves the same autopsy. That's next. The button below is waiting.